Hi, welcome to our Metal Reactions channel. I'm Brad.
I'm Aliona.
A quick plug for Shayne Capazorio, who did all the new branding on our channel. If you need some graphic design work done for you, you can find his email in the description below. So we recently launched a second tier on Patreon, which is for individual song requests, and this is the first song from that. Olav Walldal, who was our first patron, naturally is our first tier 2 patron as well. And he has previously picked Belakor as well. We did An Ember's Arc, both really enjoyed it. So that was off the later album Vessels. We're now going back 2 albums to do Countless Skies. So I don't know the song, presumably you don't know the song.
Obviously.
Yeah. We are wanting to do a full album review of Vessels because we enjoyed it so much. So Jan was going to pick another song off of that album, but I said to him, rather let's do something else then, because we're going to be doing the full album anyway. So
when the time comes.
Yeah, looking forward to that. But for now, let's get into Countless Skies. think that was a terribly timed pause. I think it was just hitting. Oops.
It was just starting.
I thought it was going to be a longer lull. I didn't have as much time as I thought I had.
Okay, so...
What are you thinking?
Well, it's cool. I mean, it's as cool as the first one. So there's so many instruments, and the drummer like keeps doing like very fast beats in the song. And then I like the songs that almost sound as like super classical and melodical.
Very melodic.
Yeah, very melodic. Yeah, exactly. I like those parts.
Yeah, so the first thing that struck me was the contrast that's happening in the song. So like they've got very slow, light, airy kind of parts, and then they've got like super fast, particularly with the drumming parts. But even, I mean, the intro to the song was light in all regards, and then it had a piece where the drumming was fast. But if I recall correctly, it was like piano or keyboard playing.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
And then, and the guitar in that piece was very simple. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking like at that stage of the song, it's like, this is actually very soothing. Like to a non-metal listener, it's probably not because the speed of the double bass, the drumming is very intense. But the simplicity of the guitar and the keyboard I find very soothing. And then it picked up, and then the guitars went, much more intricately, and et cetera, and then became a much more active song. And then it kind of went back and forth between that. Yeah, it goes in waves,
I think. So from soothing pieces to really fast and intense ones.
And so that's cool. I mean, we've mentioned before the contrast in music works really well. So I like what they're doing there. It feels slightly more raw than the Vessels album that we listened to. So. Which is, of course, completely natural because this is quite a bit older. I think it was maybe their second album. So you can hear in Vessels, now that could just be like the sound production quality as well, but it sounds more refined, like they've just refined their craft more. That's not a criticism, it's not a bad thing. It's just the evolution of a band. You get better at what you're doing. And that often happens when you listen to something older after you listen to something newer. But again, that's not to say it's bad or anything like that. It's just that I can sort of hear the progression as they refine their craft.
Okay, my memory is not that good.
I think that's enough rambling from me. Shall we?
Yes.
Shall I get back? My terribly timed pause. So, what do you think?
Well, I did enjoy it. I think this piece is just a tiny bit simpler than the one that we listened to from the vessels, because here I can actually like follow the music, follow the theme, and I do really like it because I think it makes it for me more melodic, and that I can expect where it will go is not at all for me like a bad thing. It's actually a good thing.
More predictable?
Yeah, I suppose.
Which is easier to grasp.
Yes, so it becomes more like familiar or more understandable, more closer, yeah, something like that.
Okay.
At least for me, since I'm not a big music expert or whatever.
Okay.
And because there is this sort of the main theme, you can really appreciate those things that actually are not in it, and like in addition to it, like some faster pieces, some additional like piano instrument which stands out right away. I really like that, and it becomes really noticeable. Rather than I think in the vessels, the one that we were listening to, it was totally everything was unexpected. You get used to one small part and then it changes and it's another and it never comes back to what it was. So okay. Yeah.
So those would be like the progressive elements where like it's introducing new things and taking things out and mixing them all up. That's a good point. I think it was easier to follow the progression of the song in that way, certainly on a first listen. So I said quite a bit during the pause there. A lot of more of the same. I noticed after the pause, shortly after, there was a piece where the timing seemed to change quite a bit. Now, I'm not like a super like instrumental expert to that level, but it seemed like the way that the guitar was, like the rhythm to the guitar changed up quite a bit, and that was quite a nice little piece there. And then some time after that, I noticed there were quite a lot of cool and intricate drum fills, which would just be like little other ghost notes or those sorts of things being played sort of around the main drumming, and that was quite cool to pick up all these little like cymbals and things like that. And then the outro was long, but also sort of like rhythmic, like it got you in a trance, and it was very very much the same and predictable, but they found the groove for that outro, and they just like stayed in that groove. They didn't come out of it too soon, which was quite cool. Very nice outro, like the kind that you don't mind listening to 2 minutes of the same thing essentially, because it's sort of sounds good and soothing and interesting.
Yeah, and I was thinking that like they don't need many instruments to create this atmosphere. We've listened to bands with orchestra and with choir and with all those things which are great, but I think they managed to create like with little with just a few instruments, they managed to create the same epic performance. Which is quite cool. That's
fair. That's a cool observation. Okay, anything else instrumentally, or want to get into some lyrics?
I'm not qualified to discuss instruments anymore. I said what I could.
Me too. It's a work in progress for us as well. I think we'll improve at understanding instruments as well. I think we have already, but we'll continue to describe instruments better. But to our more bread and butter lyrics. Okay, what's your take on it first? Since I was the first to talk about instruments. Okay. So, we did an Ember's Arc, and that was part of a concept album, and that particular part of the story was the photon going from the sun to Earth. So immediately because of that, my brain is expecting weird things like that, like not singing about love or life experiences or whatever, just some sort of abstract, or if not abstract, just some sort of natural phenomenon or something to do with that. So now when the lyrics talk about rivers rose and fell, countless times below me the rivers rose and fell, and ageless stones eroding out across the endless swell ocean. There's seasons, there's etc., skies above me. So that it's painting all these things. It seems like it's nature in some way. Then the question is what? So when it's going to the lyrics, it's sounding like one of those riddles where it's like, I don't know, I have hands but I can't hold anything. What am I? Like, like those types of riddles, because it's like there's these things below, above, and around, and so what is this thing? And the thing that comes to mind is possibly, I've got two. The first is a tree.
Okay.
I'm wondering if this isn't a tree because there's rivers below it, there's skies above it, there's people reaching out for it. It has mention of wood, walls, grass, all these sorts of things. So that's the one thing that came to mind. The other one was possibly like maybe not a mountain, but more like a cliff, like a mountain on the side of by the sea or something like that, where it's got maybe the ocean crashing into it, and that maybe makes a bit more sense in terms of like ageless stones eroding out, and the sounds that would make of the waves crashing in. And then like it talks about wombs to feed the earth. I'm wondering if that's like the caves inside. I'm getting creative and possibly entirely on a wrong path here, but these are sort of...
Why wrong? I mean, the album is called Stones Reach. So, and on the cover of the album, it basically has the statue, which is also in stone. So I'm guessing, based on the liking of concept albums, then this is something related to stones.
Okay, like a cliff mountain?
Yeah, like a cliff, which observes like everything that's happening down there, and people try to climb it. Countless hands have sought me.
So that would be the hands. Whereas the fruit, I was thinking like, reaching up to the fruits in the tree, but in this context, it's people climbing the cliff face.
Maybe it's, maybe it's when, in old times when people were worshipping gods living on the mountain or something like that.
Okay.
Or they were basically worshipping nature, so probably mounting would also be something that people would raise their hands to,
Winds would make sense again, because wind blowing up on a cliff, I suppose the woods would be trees there, and then it talks about walls to dull the road. There could be like mountain paths and I suppose things like that.
Yeah, I think I'm thinking about stones because this is the image of permanence. It talks about permanence observed without compassion or disdain. And when we talk about stones, that's the thing without compassion or disdain, without feeling. So that would be a stone. And whatever happens around the stones don't change. So they are basically watching the ages pass and how the earth transforms. And I think even like wombs to feed the earth, it can easily be just observing people living at the mountain. I don't know what's meant exactly, but I think that could be so.
What about purpose lost to frailty? I'm thinking, maybe like rock falls or stuff, like as the mountain is eroding or aging.
I was thinking, it's not completely clear to me, but I think despite of all this permanence, it still goes in the end to destruction and to withering of that stone or the rock, because it says all that was has passed, rather than when it was saying in the middle, all that is will pass.
Yeah, I noticed the tense as well, so I was going to bring that up in the very last, what you call it, a stanza. So yeah, countless waves around me. Ooh, countless waves around me. Maybe global warming or something. Now,
Yeah,
like
I was also thinking that actually.
the levels have risen.
Yeah, so the Earth has actually gone. Like the whole history has passed, and now the waves are covering it, and
strong until the last.
Yeah, and soon it will be gone.
Leaning into dimming dreams. All that was has passed. I think we might have got it at the end.
I don't know. I was also thinking the phrase "purpose lost to frailty" and "craning blades of grass." Maybe it's a reference to people using the stone, like for like this majestic stone that's been there for ages and seen empires grow and fall, and they're using it for their small needs, basically, like just destroying it and using little pieces for the for the agriculture and building, and that's maybe why walls here.
Oh right. That would be the walls. Okay, that makes sense.
So they took piece by piece, and then finally, all that was passing. Now it's all done.
Okay, interesting. I think that's really cool. I mean, if we are on track with what this means, that's again another interesting topic to write about.
I think they're picking the philosophical ones, like not maybe focused on the human, but focusing on the larger scale thought.
Which is very cool, like to break down from a lyrical perspective. It's an interesting analysis to do, an interesting exercise to read through and figure out. Very enjoyable from our side, at least. Hopefully it is for you as well.
I'm interested if like what's the theme of the album, whether it's really like each song is about different type of stone or kind of like stone experience or something. If
it's a concept album.
If it's a concept album. But I have a feeling that it is. I don't know why.
I mean, it could. I suppose let us know. You will be the experts, not us.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
No, I did enjoy it.
Me too. Good choice once again. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
And we'll see you again soon.
Thank you for watching.